This is SJ Talks to Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. The Angry Man had a discussion panel um, um, with three other guys. One was a Caucasian man with blue hair, and then Cynthia G did a review on her. It was pretty interesting. She did a review on that panel, and she was, uh, spouting some sister was spouting some facts, some cold hard facts. Basically blaming black women. Basically the panels, he's on there blaming black women for everything, and they're talking about how black women hollering independent or whatever, or put black men out. The same old rhetoric and complaints that black men keep hollering. The black manosphere keeps hollering, y'all put us out the house, and y'all keep hollering, y'all independent, and all this kind of stuff. And Cynthia G made some very interesting points regarding that. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting. I would like to. I probably might make. I don't know. I couldn't find it on his channel, but I would like to kind of watch it in its entirety. But yeah, she's giving good commentary on that as far as that. Basically, blaming black women for everything, blaming black women for. Isn't that the the um the the going thing now? Blaming black women for everything that's going wrong in the black community. Um, and certain black women are on YouTube, because the black women bashing train here on YouTube is very lucrative. It's very lucrative. And there's certain black female YouTubers on here that has jumped on that train, and they getting that subscriber count up. Just bashing black women every chance they get. Not making, saying any names, but they know who they are. Yeah, that hey, and that's an easy come up. It's an easy come up, easy way to make money on here and get your subscribers up, get your views up, and everything else. Just start bashing black women, uh, and black men too. But black women is more lucrative. When you talk about black women, that's way more lucrative than talking about black men. That's way more lucrative on here on YouTube. So, that's the common theme, is to blame black women. That's a part of that whole bashing thing against black women, is to sit around and blame black women for everything that's going wrong in the community, and saying, oh, black women put the black man out the house. Black women did this. Black women did that. Black women want to be single mothers. Black women want to depend on the governmental assistance, even though black women have a higher entrepreneurship rate than black men. Black women have a higher employment rate than black men, I believe. But we're dependent on the system. You let them tell it. We dependent on the system when the system is not even set up like that anymore. I broke down that in my some of my other videos. The system is not even set up that way anymore for black women to be dependent on it. I've explained that in other videos. It's not even set up that way, but they just like to pull things out of the hat just to make a point. I hate that when they do that. I hate that when they just say random stuff, quote non existent statistics out the top of their heads just to prove a point. And they say stuff that's not even true, and they don't even do their research on stuff that they're saying just so they can prove a point, just all in the name of proving the point. How can black women be dependent on a system that is not even set up and designed that way anymore? Welfare reform took place back in the mid 90s, and the whole system changed. Women can't just live on welfare anymore. And even if you do, you're going to get the bare minimum. They don't. Why do people think that people balling on welfare? They give you the bare minimum, if that. And the way this economy is, who can afford to live on that system? Anyway, the system is not even set up that way anymore. You have to work, especially here in Michigan. There's a work requirement. You have to work to qualify for food stamps or anything like that. They got uh, classes you could take to help you find a job and all that. No, they make you get up off your butt and look for a job. They don't let you sit on anything. So where is this black man getting this stuff at? Where are they getting this stuff at that black women are sitting around depending on the system? No, a lot of black women are working. That's what a lot of black women are doing. Okay. Anyway, I wanted to talk about, with that being said, I wanted to talk about black men holding black men accountable. I've been sitting on this topic for quite some time, and that's what I want to talk about. Black men holding black men accountable. People are always talking about black women's accountability, black women's accountability, black women's accountability, and they play tit for tat and say, well, black women don't like accountability. Black women when has there ever been a time where black women has never been held accountable? There has never been a time where black women has never been held accountable. Black women have always been held accountable. There's never been a time where we wasn't held accountable. When you depend on us to hold up a whole community, if that's not accountability, I don't know what is. When you sit up there and rely on your women to hold up a whole community, that ain't accountability. When you rely on your woman to raise mentally, physically, emotionally well-adjusted black children, particularly black males, solely by themselves. When you rely on black women to do that, if that's not accountability, I don't know what is. Because all those things are being placed on black women's shoulders. We're expected to hold the community together. We're expected to raise the children up to be good citizens. Where does black men's responsibility come into play? Where at? When in every other community you have leaders. The men are leaders in every other community, in the white community, in the Hispanic community, the Asian community, the Jewish community. In every other community, the men are the leaders. In all the other communities, the men are the leaders. But in the black community, they expect the black women to be the leaders. What's wrong with that picture? When in every other community, why is it in every other community the men know their role? The men know that they're supposed to be leaders and they know their role. But why is it that black men somehow are not getting the memo that they need to be leaders of their community? Because God created man first. He didn't create a woman first. He created the man. He created woman from a man. If you read in Genesis, first book of the Bible, he created Adam first. Then he took Adam's rib and created Eve. We were created from men. So men were created first. Men are expected. Women are in subjection to men. Even God expects men to be leaders. Even God has the expectation of men to lead. Even the Bible goes in full detail about talking about the headship arrangement. And even God has a full expectation of men being the head and being leaders. That's why we've never had a woman president, right? Not saying we shouldn't have one, so don't go there with me because I don't get into politics. But you know what I'm saying. for argument's sake. So why is it that every other men in all the other communities actually get the memo, but black men don't? When it comes to black men, they expect the black women to be the leaders of the community. They expect the black women to be the head of the household and raise mentally and emotionally well adjusted black children. And when all those things do not work out, and there's our communities across the country are chaotic. Our communities all across the country on a mass level are in shambles. Why? Because the men are not leading, but because the women are expected to hold down the community and be the leaders of the community, then the women get the blame for everything that's going on in the community. When you hear of gang banging and gangs and gun violence and all the things that take place in the black community, what is the first thing that people say? Well, they raised in them single parent homes. They're being raised by those black single parent homes. Nobody ever says, well, they're being raised without the father in the home. The children are being raised without the father in the home, and they didn't have a positive male figure there to lead them in the right direction. See, nobody never says that. They always say, well, they're being raised by those single mothers, as if to suggest that the women have the sole responsibility of raising mentally and emotionally well-adjusted children that is going to be law-abiding citizens. Like, that's only our responsibility. But where does the black man's responsibility come in now? And then they're always talking about accountability this, accountability that when it comes to black women. When there's ever been a time when we were never held accountable? You guys expect us to be the leaders of the community. You expect us to hold down the community. It's a heavy burden to carry for us because we're at the end of the day, we're just women. You know, we're the only race of women that don't have leaders, that we're expected to be the leaders in the community. We're the only race of women. The only race of women. I'm just keeping it 100. That all the burdens and the responsibilities of the rearing of the children and the community falls on the black woman's shoulders. Well, that's too much. Well, everything else that the black woman has to endure with racism and everything and sexism is too much. It's too much of a burden. It's too much. A woman was not created to carry all that weight. But that's what's expected of us. So if that's not accountability, I don't know what is. And the issue that I wanted to talk about is that black men are not holding each other accountable. I'm try not to make this video too long, but black men are not holding each other accountable. Why isn't you so busy talking about black women being accountable? Black women's accountability, black women's accountability. They love accountability. I did a whole video topic about that. They love accountability when it pertains to black women. They love accountability when it pertains to black women. But then when it pertains to black men, because when I do topics on here, because I told you guys, I talk about both sides. When I do topics on here addressing the black women, that one video I did about black women having children by multiple men and whatever, I got over 500 hits on, over 500 views on that video. I did another video about black men picking the wrong women. The one women picking the wrong men, and that got more views. And I did another one about black men picking the wrong women, and then another one, and it didn't hardly even get any views. So that, guess who probably, every time I do videos addressing the women, single mothers or whatever, the men are all ears. The black men are all in. They're all in the comment section. Yes, sister, you right. Uh-huh. They're all in. Like I said, that's very lucrative. Anytime you address black women, oh my God, you gonna bling 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 bling. But addressing the men, crickets. When you address their dirt, when you talk about their dirt, crickets. They don't hardly click on your stuff. So they only love accountability when it pertains to black women. When it pertains to black men, they don't want to hear it. And that is the issue that we have in the community. We have an accountability issue with our men that, and I'm going to be doing another video about the black mothers are the mothers coddling the boys and raising the daughters and coddling the boys. I'm going to do another video talking about that. Black men, the problem is they're so quick to hold black women to the fire, but they don't hold each other accountable. Why don't black men hold each other accountable? Because number one, first of all, they say, well, there's 50% of black men. I have to double check that stat. Not sure about that. There's 50% of black men that don't have any kids. I find that very difficult to believe. I have to double check that stat. But it could be true. If that statistic is true, that there's 50% of black men that don't have children, because they use that, they like to hang that over our head. That means that you guys are you women are sleeping with the same deadbeat men and this and that and other. Okay, if that statistic is true, and there are 50% of black men that don't have children, why aren't you guys holding the black men that's having babies by multiple women? Why aren't you holding them accountable? Why aren't you holding those men accountable? Because what they are doing is affecting you. Everybody knows, every black person over the age of 30 should know, we get judged as a whole. We get judged as a collective. We don't get the luxury of being judged as individuals. We get judged as a whole. So what a certain percentage of our people do, it's going to affect all of us. So if there is 50% of black men that don't have children, okay, why aren't you guys holding those guys that are out here creating all these baby mamas and not taking care of the kids and this and that and the other? Why aren't you holding those guys accountable? Because they making y'all look bad. They make y'all look like deadbeats. Because people are looking at them and saying, them black men don't take care of their kids. Those black men walk out on their kids. Those black men have multiple baby mamas all over the place. That's what people say. That's what people, they don't care nothing about that stat that says 50% of black men don't have kids. They don't care less about that stat. They're lumping you in with the men that are screwing around and having children with multiple women. They lumping y'all in with them. And if you know that, you guys are there, all y'all being judged as a whole, y'all being thrown in the same box. If you know that, then why aren't you holding those guys accountable? See, I have yet to find. There's not too many black men on here that's the Peso Man does pretty good. He does pretty good at holding black men accountable. But we don't have too many of those channels on here that hold black men accountable. You guys should be holding them to the fire. If there is 50% of you guys that don't have kids, that's beautiful. Okay, well, you guys need to be holding them to the fire then. The ones that y'all making us look bad. Y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop this. Creating all these single parent homes and this and that and the other. Y'all need to just snip in the bud. Y'all need to stop. This is not okay. Y'all making all of us look bad. Am I right or wrong? And then another thing is that when they say, well, single mothers, all this bashing of single mothers, bashing when single mothers constantly getting bashed all the time. And all these y'all always talking about how these boys are running rapid in the black communities and all that kind of stuff. There's so many different layers of this, and I don't want to make this video too long, But a lot of times the women are out working. It was a shooting that took place in my city where this baby got killed, and they they found the guys that did it. And I said, well, I'm not gonna judge the the mother. The first thing we think about is the mother. I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I said, I don't know what her situation is. Mom could have been at work. Mom probably didn't know what was going on. She could have been at work or whatever the situation was. And their father wasn't there. And mom could have been at work. Mom might have not have knew what was going on. I know there was times where my sons got into mischief and I was at work when they got into it. It happens more often than not. Why don't black men form mentorships? Form mentorships in the community where you mentor these young men. What's wrong with that? Instead of always, well, I'm not hooking up with no single mother. They go on and on about that. Okay, if you don't want to hook up with a single mother, don't hook up with one. Nobody's asking you to hook up with a single mother. Nobody's asking you to marry her. Nobody's asking you to date her or anything. But what is wrong with is she has a son, taking that son and mentoring him, steering him in the right direction. Why don't black men do that? Form mentorships in these communities. And the young black males that don't have a father figure, you mentor them. Teach them how to be a man. Teach them values. Steer them in the right direction. Educate them on our history and let them know your brother is not your enemy. You don't go out here and shoot and kill your brothers and sisters. What is wrong with that? What is the issue with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Why don't more black men and black communities across the country do that? Mentoring these young fatherless boys. Ain't nobody saying you got to deal with the mama. You ain't got to marry the mama, nothing like that. But form mentorships and mentor these young men and steer them in the right direction. These are the kinds of things that leaders do. And these things need to happen on the mass level. See, people talk about Umar Johnson. They bash him about the school he's doing. Oh, it's taking him too long. This and that and the other. I'm not going to really go into all that. But how many of y'all getting out there trying to do the same thing? How many of y'all is while you talking, is we so busy beating down each other, pulling each other down. How many of y'all is willing to go out there and do the same thing? Yeah, Umar Johnson got faults, just like the rest of us, but at least the brother is trying. At least he's trying. What is y'all doing? Instead of running off and bumping your gums, what are you doing? Leadership, headship, holding each other accountable, getting on YouTube and say, look, I don't have no kids. I got a lot of friends that don't have no kids. You guys, y'all need to quit making these multiple single parent homes, this and that and other. What is wrong with that? Because they make y'all look bad. Whatever they're doing, it's making other races, you're a laughing stock to other races of men. Why don't black men open up their eyes? You guys are laughing stocks to other races of men. Other races of men are looking at you like, what is wrong with y'all? Why come y'all can't get a handle on? And I know that racism is a major issue. We got to deal with systematic racism. I get it. But we can minimize the effects. I've talked about this in other videos. We can minimize the effects of that if we unify like we're supposed to. See, if black men do what they're supposed to do in obedience and be the leaders and the heads like they're supposed to and quit putting everything on black women's shoulders. Because if everything is being put on our shoulders, how do you expect us to submit? Y'all keep talking about submission and all that. How the heck is a black woman supposed to submit if she's Is she's the head of everything, and she trying to run everything and try to hold everything down. You guys drive a hard bargain. Y'all always talking about how y'all want us to submit. How is a black woman supposed to submit when she got to hold down the fort? When she's got to be the man, to try to be the man and the woman, and try to hold everything down. It ain't going to happen. And being feminine and all that. How are we supposed to rest in our femininity when we too busy holding down the fort? We too busy getting blamed for everything. We getting too busy trying to hold everything down. We're not pushing you guys away. But it's an excuse that's being made. You guys use that as an excuse. You say black women are pushing. No, we're not. Black women are not. I've heard too many black women say black men have walked away from them. And if a black woman puts you out, it's a reason why she's putting you out, because you're cheating on her. You're being abusive. You're mistreating her. A woman don't leave no good man. It's usually a reason. If a woman is dumping you, if a woman is dumping a man, it's a good reason why she's dumping them. We supposed to sit by and let somebody mistreat us and abuse us and stuff. We supposed to sit by and take that. That's the problem, y'all. Y'all expect us to be your dumping board. You expect everything to be dumped all on us all the time. And we supposed to sit there and take it. No, it don't work that way. We're not going to sit there and take it. We're not going to put up with the abuse. We're not going to put up with the non-support, all this kind of stuff. And that's what a lot of times that's going on. That's because the men are not, a lot of black men are not taking their, as a collective, the headship arrangement. They're not taking the proper head and the proper lead. And then don't understand why other races of men are not respecting you guys. Other races of men don't respect you. You're the laughing stock, because they're looking at y'all like, what, y'all not trying to, y'all not leaders of y'all community. And there's no excuse, because Hispanic men are oppressed too. They just as oppressed. Do you think Hispanic, they got to deal with racism too? They got to deal with oppression and racism too. But they still manage to be the leaders of their communities. You know? And for some reason, black men have a hard time grasping that concept. And they want to put everything on black women's shoulders. And they don't want to, black men have a hard time holding each other accountable. And there's a lot of black women that don't want to hold black men accountable. Everybody wants to coddle the black man, but want to, black women point all these fingers at black women, and you do this and y'all do that and you do this and be submissive and feminine, plus be the leaders of the community and raise the children. But where's the black man's responsibility when God created you to be the head? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So this blaming black women, not getting your facts straight, saying this and that, talking about the child support system. Well, nobody shouldn't have to force you to take care of your kids. A real man takes care of his children, and I know there's a lot of loopholes in the system, and I get it. But at the end of the day, a real man does what he's supposed to do. And nobody should have to force you to take care of your kids. Bottom line. But they cry about all this stuff. Child support, all this kind of stuff. So you expect for women to raise kids by themselves with no support. See, nobody, the black woman is always being looked at as the enemy. When all we've ever asked you guys to be is just the the men. Be the men and take responsibility and do what you guys are supposed to do as a man. But that's too much to ask. It's too much for us to ask. And if we're supposed to be the big problem, and I did a video talking about this, if we're supposed to be such a major problem and everything is supposed to be, and black women are supposed to have all these issues, then why are you going and black men are going into other communities and creating single mothers? They're going into the white community and creating single mothers. They're doing the same thing in other communities. They're creating single mothers. If we're the problem, oh, I guess that's our fault too. We didn't raise y'all right, right? I got you. It's our fault too. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Um, Black men need to start holding black men to the fire. Black men need to start holding each other accountable and stop blaming black women for everything. It's getting redundant. It's getting old. And you guys are a laughing stock to other races of men. Hit me up in the comment section. Hit that like, subscribe, and share. Until the next video, you guys be blessed.